What's up, guys, and welcome back to Malt Mondays.
In Scotland, would you accidentally drive up to Talisker?
This week, we're taking a look at the Bruichladdich Black Art 7.1. Now, this one is distilled in 1994, and it was bottled 2019, so it's 25 years old. So this is the oldest Bruichladdich I've had that's an official Bruichladdich bottling. I believe, no, that's not true. I've had a 27-year-old, but this is one of the oldest I've had. Now, with the Black Art series, they're not really trying at Bruichladdich to produce the same product each year. And part of what, as you taste a lot of whiskeys and experience a lot of whiskeys, you'll find the reason why so many people like single barrel whiskeys or special editions and think they're better is because it gives the person crafting the whiskey the ability to only use exactly what they want. If you're trying to produce something like Glenfiddich 12-year-old, well, there's certain barrels of Glenfiddich that are going to be spectacular at 12 to 13 years old. And there's going to be some that are a little more mediocre. And so when you're required to create a consistent product, what ends up happening is you sacrifice some of the special casks to create something that's consistent because you have to salvage the more mediocre barrels. So a lot of times with special edition or limited edition whiskey, it's got more potential to be great simply because the people creating it have more license of what they can and can't use when they're releasing it. So, obviously that's not always the case, but often it is. So this is bottled at 48.4% ABV. It is unchill filtered and coloring free. So I always like to see that higher ABV so they're not watering it down. Natural color. They're producing a spirit and a product that is true to what it is on its own, rather than trying to modify it. So right away on the nose, this is not nearly as rich as the 4.1. This is a lighter whiskey. Not a super light whiskey, just lighter than the 4.1. This is still a relatively heavy nose. But I get a little bit more of the alcohol, like a cooling peppermint kind of aroma, with some lemon. And there's a little bit more of an herbal note here rather than the sherry and wine. There's definitely a little bit of sherry. It comes through as like a strawberry. And there's definitely flower petals like rose, violet. But overall, this is a much lighter aroma than on the Black Art 4.1 and earlier Black Arts that I've tasted. So this is a little bit of a departure. There's definitely that the herbalness isn't. It's not herbalness like what you might think of like with a peated Islay whiskey, where it's like that the just burning. It's not like that. It's more of like a tea kind of aroma. So overall, the nose is quite complex, as you would expect for a 25-year-old whiskey. Extremely well balanced. And I'm sure if I sat here for an hour, as I typically would with a glass this size, of such a beautiful Scotch, I could find more and more aromas. But really, once you start getting too far into the weeds, in my opinion, you start just stretching, and so I prefer to kind of stay with the most prominent things that I find that I think you'll be able to taste, and I think most people will be able to taste. So let's see how it tastes. So this is just a harmony of flavors in your mouth. I get more sherry on the palate than I did on the nose. I get a little bit of honey. I'm getting some orange peel. The finish starts going into the oak starts coming through. Starts getting a little more of that tea kind of herbaceousness back, along with some spices. But it leaves a little bit of that honey orange at the front of your mouth. This one's not quite as malty as the 23-year-old, the 4.1. On the nose, the malt is there. But in my opinion, and this, you can smell the age on it, the kind of warehouse aroma, but it leans more towards the earthy side, and the earthy floral aromas rather than the sherry rich fruit aromas. So this is a wonderful whiskey. I don't think I enjoy this one quite as much as the 4.1, but again, that's more of a personal preference thing. That's not a knock on this bottle particularly. There's a little bit more nuttiness on the finish, so let's taste it again. Yeah, there's definitely like a crushed nut, walnut, kind of aroma and flavor here that is not my favorite. But again, that's a personal preference thing. That's not a knock. I mean, this is wonderful, wonderfully well done whiskey. Extremely complex, really long finish, really harmonious flavors. I think for me though, at $300 to $400, depending on where you're finding this, $300 being a good deal, $400 being more typical. This isn't one that I would go purchase. This was lent to me for the review, thankfully, and very graciously. But this one particularly is not quite enough what I'm looking for me to go spend that kind of money on it. So that's going to be up to you. That's going to be a decision you have to make. It's just not quite as much what I personally am looking for. But it's still a wonderful whiskey, and if you've had it, let me know what you think of it. I'd be interested to know, so get in the comments below, let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back next week. Cheers.